Welcome YouTubers, this is Jagjet with part 3 on the series of the Citation 550 S2 that's been produced by Carenado. We're hovering just at about 1,000 feet, and I think we'll zoom on in and zoom into the Williamsburg Jamestown Airport and find our lovely aircraft sitting on the ramp, having just been fueled. And so now you can see we're hooked up to the auxiliary power cart. All the static items have been stowed. Let's go inside. Today's tutorial will be on the Copilot side and the responsibilities and some of the settings that you'll encounter and some of the pieces of equipment you'll need to use and operate as the Copilot. Now, for simplicity, I'm going to do a couple of things, and that's one of those is get rid of the yoke, just so everything is a little bit easier to see. And we're going to start off here on the Copilot's arm pad, and you can see that there is the RVSM breaker switches and your emergency oxygen input, your microphone, your phono, and mic for your headset. And for some reason, Carenado has chosen to start the aircraft or spawn the aircraft with an in-oxygen mic. It's an incorrect assumption. It's normally left in headphone and microphone jack to the regular system. The quick donning mask that usually accompanies the Citation is nowhere to be seen inside the cockpit. And we'll move around a little bit here, and here's your 8-sided octagon cork-filled cup holder, which I thought was always kind of peculiar. I don't think that it'll hold anything better. Your Copilot side breaker panel, your WEMAC, and then we'll start from the top and zoom our way down. So let's get prettied up here, move over just a bit, and zoom in. Okay, just below the glare shield here, you have your master caution and warning light, your flight data recorder fail light, and several other lights that are enunciated. Now your AHRS, you can change the system there when you do want to change that. And you have your attitude test. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, since the battery is already on, we're going to go ahead and turn on the AC power and the inverters, just so we can see everything better. We'll go over here and redo our view. But again, starting over here, now you see you have your attitude test, altitude, radio altimeter test, reversion, and you can set, which is not active on this side, but it is on the captain's side. Here's your airspeed and your bug set. Generally speaking, the Copilot will set his bug to a secondary position that's useful for both he and the captain. So in other words, if you're taking off and captain's got his on a V1 speed, you would put it at the flap retract and gear retract maximum speeds for usefulness. And again, here's your warning lights above here that you would be advised and cancel. And there's a small placard here which is, I believe, is going to be illegible. Let's see. All autopilot flight directors, AP flight director commands, and enunciations refer to the pilot side. And that's important to know because you're going to rely on these things, and they're all based on the captain's settings. In this case, we can look up and see that we happen to know in this case that our field elevation is 49 feet. We can probably get close to dialing that in, if not exactly yet. And that gives us 3049 as a temp. And so you're set there. And here's your Hobbs meter for the aircraft usage. So far I've got 36.1 hours of usage in the aircraft. Going back to the center, you've got your EFIS, which is your Electronic Flight Information System, where in the case of going to put in the flight director commands, you turn on the flight director, say put on the heading mode, altitude select, vertical speed, and show some pitch up. And now returning, you can see that the flight director is aiming towards a right turn to the selected heading, a command of about 10 up, and the ball is centered electrically and then verified by an actual ball in the turn and bank coordinator. And you'll get your different modes showing up as either engaged or pre-selected. And your speed indicator, your aircraft symbol, and the horizon line. You'll also have fast and slow show up in here in a mode that's useful for approaches. Okay, apparently all of these, other than the test button doesn't even work on this side. So when you test anything, it will show up as working if it pushed on the captain's side. For selecting any of the information here, it's all based on the captain's side, so I guess they've chosen to display it that way. Here's your nav1, nav2 indicator, and it shows at the bottom you depress these and you see the arrow changes from ADF back to nav or vice versa on both sides. So you can select what you're viewing. And needle 1, of course, is the single strand, and needle 2 is the double strand. And then you've got some warning flags. All right, down below is your electronic HSI heading situation indicator, and that's going to give you course and GPS information, distance to your station, either VOR or distance to the next waypoint on GPS, your course selection, and below that is again non-functional information on the panel below. The radar panel is curious. It shows that you can change modes, but I can't get it to do anything, so I don't know that that's going to be useful in a real way. And the buttons don't seem to have any effect of anything either. You should, of course, be able to tilt the radar up and down depending on your attitude so that you can make it more effective. If you're climbing, you don't want the radar up at the same angle of attack as your aircraft. You want it to be a little bit below or at the horizon to give you a slice of the weather that's going to be encountered. So anyway, this is your instant vertical speed indicator, or IVSI, and it's showing with this caret that you've got a vertical speed selected, and as the aircraft performs it, it will actually do that. Below the Hobbs meter, you have your battery temp indicator. When the aircraft starts, it should be the ambient temperature outside. And when a battery start on both engines is accomplished, or a cross start, you're going to see this go from the ambient temperature to 90 to up to about 120, and it will cool down once the aircraft is in flight. And it's in an uncooled or heated area of the aircraft, so it will help to cool the battery down. Then you have your clock. I usually start at the time of the event, like doing this video, so I'll have an idea. We're about 5 minutes in. Here's your audio panel, and it's for some reason selected at emergency COM 1, which is, you probably want it to be on COM 1, but there is no changing it, so you're sort of stuck. You can select
Newport News /
like I just did and got the ATIS from the airport closest, which in this case I was selected at Newport News Williamsburg, K Papa Hotel Foxtrot. And you can pull up your other ADF and nav receivers and different things to monitor them with the radio panel. Your cabin temperature is indicating 20, or excuse me, about 50, which is a bit on the cool side and does not work with the ambient temperature outside the aircraft, unfortunately. It's not modeled as working. The oxygen is not going to decrease if you pretend to use the oxygen, so it's pretty much statically reporting in the green. Below is your gyro pressure, and it should be in the green band, and it is modeled and it does work. The checklist to the right of that does not work. The emergency locator beam does work, so you can test that. And now we'll sort of come in the middle here, and there is a fan off and on, and for some reason it's 3-position switch, which is modeled correctly, air conditioning, but the AC light should come on as a blue or green light, which does not happen when the compressor is working as it should. And then you have evaporator fans, and then you have aircraft evaporator fans aft for monitoring and moving the air around. And now we go down to the lower panel, which is your windshield bleed airs, overhead cabin fan, defrost fan, gyros, and I think they should be in the automatic position, and left-hand, right-hand slave. So it doesn't matter about the slave, but it should be in the auto as the aircraft spawn, and these of course will work. You would turn those up and you'd get a loud roar with the defog fan on and high, and that should be a 3-position switch, but it's only modeled as a 2-position switch, which is wrong, because it should be off, high, and low. Anyway, this is a rather short tutorial on this side, but we'll kind of cover, and this is your readouts for your nav2 on this side, the Copilot side. Some more warning lights for different things that are eliminated, your altitude alerters and easy reach of the Copilot, the environmental panel, and pressurization panel is not too far. And again, you have access to the FMS between you and the captain, and the friction for the pass-through that covers the flap handle, the throttles, and the pitch control wheel. Also, I'll show you on this side, you can see the rudder pedals, which are functional and do move. They are, in the real aircraft, able to be moved forward and aft with a switch that's on the center of the pedestal there. Right down here is your, what's lovingly known as a foot warmer, but it's I would say it's a foot teasing warmer. I would recommend 2 pairs of socks and a citation above 35,000 for an extended period of time. And I believe nobody from Carenado has ever been in the cockpit of one of these aircraft, because they have a 5-position seatbelt system. There is one that clicks in here, which goes in between the sides of the seat, which is a crotch. It's a 5-point belt system in this aircraft. So, not modeled correctly, but you know, as a non-study aircraft, it's a very good functional modeling of the aircraft. And again, visible easily from the center console is the wet compass and the alignment balls that are on the center windshield support. Theoretically, you should in fact move your seat to where balls are in alignment, but they're not quite exactly right as they would appear in the cockpit. This would have your eyes much closer to the cockpit than they realistically are. It's a nice 3D tool, but it's not accurate to where your view of the cockpit is more from the actual position. This should be a little bit longer, and this particular white ball that's suspended on this support should be in alignment from this position to make sure that you're in the right position. But we'll sort of go outside and have a look-see. This is really and truly a nice aircraft. They've done a nice job with all of the PBR, the reflections, and you can see that the spoilers come out, and you can see them quite easily when they're engaged, in the landing gear and landing lights underneath, the struts. Pretty accurately done. Your antennas. And this is the access to the lower. This is the lower vent for the hell hole, and I'll show you. You go around to unhook the battery and store our luggage. It's underneath the left nacelle, which is here, and your access door. This is where you have to go, and if you get a stuck starter relay, you actually have to open this door, and because you can't disconnect the engine starter from the engine once it's turning. You can turn the engine off, but the starter will continue to turn. You have to then undo the door here, open it, reach inside, and physically disconnect the battery and the APU so that the engine will then stop. It depowers the starter relay. It's always fun to do that in pouring rain, as I've had to do on occasion. But if you're careful and you're grounded, and you're not grounded to the aircraft when you touch it, you're not in terrible danger, but it's not fun to do. And when you pull it out, you can see a nice arc because there's a big load on the starter. We'll go back inside the cockpit, and just for fun, I'll try and make it sort of different time of day, so that we can see the lighting inside the cockpit. It'd be a good time to add this in. And we're speeding up time, and it's starting to get dark now. Just before it gets all the way dark, I'm going to go down and fire up the lighting panel for us. Well, I'll put in those are the instruments lights on the pilot side. We'll put those on first so you can see. And we'll do the center stack, which you can be able to see. And now the Copilot side, excuse me, is coming up. I always seem to get the hiccups when I'm trying to record. It's always fun. Now you can see that's as bright as it is on the captain's side, and move back over. Now there's one additional thing that's very helpful, and you should always start that up when you get in the aircraft for a cold and dark start, and that's the overhead light, which I'll pan up and show you is up and overhead to illuminate the cockpit, and it works very well in the daytime as well. But that gives you sort of a look inside the captain's and co-pilot seats as we spin around. So you have pretty good visibility. This last one is what's called Electroluminescence Panel. This one, when you turn this one up, you'll notice the light here on the yoke. You can see that it's an electroluminescent panel. It's electrically fired. In other words, the backing lights behind all this is underneath a glass panel. It's etched onto the back of a clear panel, and the words are actually left so you can see clear, and they're painted gray over top, so that there's illumination is coming from behind. It's quite a unique and very nice effect in the real aircraft and also in the model aircraft. But that's the lighting in the Citation 2, what you see. And now this is your engine fan speed reminder. You can drag it up to a full speed and then sort of slowly bring it down and then fine tune it for the temperature and pressure and altitude. You'll know what numbers to put in there to take off, and you can roll that up when you change altitude if you like, or most people just, as they change the speed every 5,000 feet, they make sure how much throttle in one they can add, sort of as a dual purpose. Anyway, that concludes our look at the citation. And what we'll do now is sort of go back to daylight. And thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you find the content useful or helpful. And this is Jagjet saying, have a good day, enjoy your flying, and life goes on within you and without you.